You'll see me just whip off the rapid fire news and the stash will just be gone.
That would be
someday. It's just going to happen. Christina will eventually win the fight, and it will have to fall off for a little bit before it comes back. Maybe I'll send you a picture one day.
And cops and Indian men everywhere will lament the loss of
a single tear.
Your teeth could be in commercial. You got to have something going. Either you're just blessed genetically, or you do something.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a blessing. When I was younger, when I was like 6th grade, they came in full force and my face hadn't grown out. So
here,
not a blessing then. I looked like Bucky the Beaver, but yeah, if you get a long enough face, long teeth look cool.
Do you do skin stuff? You got nice skin. You both have nice skin.
Oh wow, this is great. Yeah, I think.
Is this the episode? Is this what we're doing this time?
I love it.
I'm here today with my good friends Mack and Alex. Guys, how the heck are you?
I'm swell.
Super good. So much better than last time.
Yeah. Last time you were like rugged with COVID and just voice stuff.
I just couldn't really speak, and so I spent the entire episode just sitting backstage watching you guys flame me repeatedly for the duration of the episode. And
polite roasting for the purpose of camaraderie. It's
just
a team building exercise. Yeah.
Listen, Alex, you're one of my favorite people, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because you're such a nice guy, but we were talking in NFT NYC. I said we need to have a Halloween contest where we all dress up as each other. And we said it last episode too. And I said, but wait, can we all just secretly show up as Alex? And I think maybe it's the mustache. Maybe it's because you're iconic. I don't know.
I mean, you guys could definitely rock some mustaches, and maybe that's what I should ask for Christmas. I just want all of you to show up to a meeting with just mustaches.
Before we move away from this amazing topic of the mustache, my mustache just grows out. So you see how yours has a strong downward shunt? Mine doesn't do that. It just grows out.
All right,
so
let me let you in on a little secret, Mac, about the mustaches. I have to do this about 35,000 times a day. I got a little comb. You guys don't see the comb, but there's a little comb. And if you ever see a strong profile, that bad boy, he wants to go out at 90, just straight out from my face. It's a chore to keep him going down.
Do you put product in your mustache?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Oh my God.
What do you recommend? Is there a wax I should use for that?
No. I have this evergreen pine scented beard oil. And every time you get out of the shower, it's dry because you have to wash it. Otherwise, the skin underneath it just not good. You got to take care of it. So you gotta give it a little product at the end to make sure it stays lush.
Well, I appreciate you kind of shining some light on mustache culture and what it takes behind the scenes, because I think a lot of people are not aware of this, and I don't personally know if I'm ready for this kind of financial or time commitment. I was just gonna show up and get a mustache going.
Just rock it.
Good. Yeah.
And I mean, I just kind of fell into this accidentally. I heard for No Shave November one year, and I was just like, you know what, this kind of works. And then I cut it off, and Christina's like, you can grow that back if you want. And I was like, oh, all right. And
but dude, I'll tell you, not a day goes by I don't think about
mustache.
What you would look like without it. Yeah. I want that thing gone. I really do. Not because I dislike it, but just because I think that it's like the forbidden fruit must be tasted in a non-gay way.
At some point, I will just you'll see me just whip off the rapid fire news and the stash will just be gone.
That would be
someday. It's just going to happen. Christina will eventually win the fight, and it will have to fall off for a little bit before it comes back. Maybe I'll send you a picture one day.
And cops and Indian men everywhere will lament the loss of
a single tear.
All of the fellow military aviators will sense disturbance in the force, and they'll all stop and have the Leia moment really quick, and then go back about their day.
Yeah. Geez, dude. Yeah. No, you. It's enlightening because, I know there's a regimen, but now everyone's looking at my beard like, what the hell lives in there? I clean this thing, and I brush it 20 times. I go 20, that's it. And then of course throughout the day, I don't put wax oil. I've used like, a lotion, like a conditioner,
the oil is a game changer. I will tell you that right now. It does wonders for the skin underneath. I mean, and you're more used to it. You got long, luscious locks. You got to take care of that.
I take care of the hair.
Insert oil sponsor for the podcast here.
Yeah. Let's get some Dr. Squatch sponsorship.
Yeah.
Honestly,
you're out there watching.
We're looking in the wrong place for sponsors. I didn't even think about that, but we have a real, like, Pantene could sponsor us. The Mustache Brigade could sponsor us. I don't know.
I know Mack's using product over there. He's over there giggling, but I know for a fact you got something going on.
Yeah, I bet Mack's got a regimen.
Not on my beard. No, I actually try and go for the most low maintenance like haircut possible too. So if I can do that, then great. But eventually it gets to a point where it has to do it, and then if there's anything left, I'll put it on my beard. But
yeah, but your teeth could be in commercial. You got to have something going. Either you're just blessed genetically, or you do something. Yeah,
it's a little bit of a blessing. When I was younger, when I was like 6th grade, they came in full force, and my face hadn't grown out. So not a blessing then. I looked like Bucky the Beaver. But yeah, if you get a long enough face, long teeth look cool. Andrew's got long teeth too, so we're gonna have long ass teeth kids for sure.
Do you do skin stuff? You got nice skin too. You both have nice skin.
Oh wow, this is great. Yeah, I think.
Is this the episode? Is this what we're doing this time?
I love it. Different. The last one was just flaming Alex off screen, and now it's all about just like complimenting each other. Like, yeah, dude, I really love your skin.
Just a love fest.
Yeah.
Alex's mustache lives in your head rent free. You're genetically blessed. Everyone's got nice skin.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got hair that Adonis himself could sing about. So
and we talked about your hair last time too. And at the conference, you were showing everybody the pictures. We've got to put it in the show notes for one of these episodes and have your like luscious the mane.
Oh, that caught me off guard. I was not mentally prepared for that one. I
was amazed.
It took me a second for my brain to process what it is I was looking at, and I could feel the struggle. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing, but it's good. Good.
Thank you.
That surprised me.
Yeah. Alex, have you ever had long hair?
Yes. But it wasn't like year long. It was I'm going to really do myself a number here. My bangs used to go past my chin.
God, you're so emo.
Ears were stretched. Oh, I was seen as hell in high school. Like the trip pants with the, bright red skinny jeans and Osiris. All my shoes were Osiris. Ears,
the big thick ones, right?
Stretched. Oh, the huge ones, the behemoths. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I had to straighten my hair every day to get it to fall right. Yeah, it was a process. That's the longest it's ever been, though.
I would have been so jealous in high school. I've always had like thick, kind of wavy hair, and all I wanted was to have long, straight hair so I could do like, emo one eye and stuff like that. I would have loved that. I loved having different looks, and I just was so sad that I hadn't really figured out my hair by then. So I shampooed it like every single day, and it was just like whenever it grew out, it was huge.
That's why I had to straighten it, because if I don't, it's exactly that. It's just frizzy.
Well, I think we've given each other enough cosmetic pats on the back. What do you think today?
Yeah, don't we do crypto stuff too?
We also do crypto stuff.
Hell of an intro.
Well, and we're going to get into a lot more. This show is going to be about interviews with high-profile guests, accomplished people, experts in their fields, teasing out the tips and tricks, the things they did to make stuff work. But today's episode is a continuation of episode numero uno. We talked last time about the collections, the NFT collections that Faceless Many started, that the Corrupted finished. We talked about the origins of Faceless Crypto, now Faceless Labs. And I really think it'd be helpful for our listeners to give them the bigger picture and look out into the future to talk about where we're going with this whole thing. And I'm not sure where you want to start, but I feel like maybe a best place to start would be kind of the roadmap right now. We're talking about the podcast. Obviously, you're listening to the podcast, so you're here for part of the next steps. But we're trying to lay a foundation for a future that builds bridges to other spots in the crypto ecosystem, and then ultimately like the regular people, the many who've yet to join us, right? What do you guys think about that? When you think about Faceless and you think about the next 10 years, you think about where you hope we will be.
Mack, you want to kick us off? Because you shared, I remember at the beginning of this year, you shared with me some goals that we had, kind of short-term, long-term goals. Maybe we could start there.
I mean, it's a big question. I think that if we actually take it back to before this whole thing started, right? we had a community where we were sharing educational tips and tricks and stories of successes and failures in a Discord. And from that community, I found all of you guys, because you guys all stepped up and said, hey, we want to take Faceless to the next level. So we started meeting weekly. And then it was only after probably the 5th or maybe 6th meeting that the idea of an NFT even came up. We originally thought of it as a way to kind of fundraise, to be honest, because you can build incredible community. You have great artwork, so it's rewarding the community, and then you can come up with a lot of these ideas that we were already talking about and make it fun for everyone and have them benefit with you. So the mission statement from Faceless Labs, formerly Faceless Crypto, is to lead the financial revolution and empower the faceless many. And that hasn't changed. What has been added to that is all the things that we've been adding up until this point. So it started with the NFT that kind of formed into an ecosystem where we have the heroes, the allies, and then now the villains. And then in addition to that, everything else, we've kept up the educational bit of it. We have, introduced a marketplace that can be used for any kind of business, which rewards holders and incentivizes them to reuse their products and get rewards for it. We've got things like this, the podcast, which is another way to educate and inform our community. Community jobs board, aka like a Fiverr for crypto kind of thing. There's a ton of stuff on the horizon, but it's all coming from this central, mission statement that we all share and the ideals that we were talking about 8 months ago.
Yeah. One of the things that really has jumped out at me more and more the farther into this we get is just that all of us are in the States, but a lot of our audience is from all over the world. And I've definitely sensed this as kind of a theme amongst a lot of our community members. We're not set up for success from a young age, from a financial perspective. We can get into later some of the things that we've learned about, managing finances, on a more company scale and stuff. But I remember hearing some of the stuff that Mack and I were talking about and discussing after we launched the project, just thinking like, there's no way these things are legal. And then the more you dig into it, you're like, oh no, not only is this legal, it's like, there's a lot of people taking advantage of these different things and these different systems and like how you can leverage this and use this in your favor and stuff. And it blew my mind. And I just have been realizing more and more how impactful for me the message of lead the financial revolution is, because it's not about just giving people things that they can flip and sell and make $1 bajillion. It's about opening their eyes to things that they've been missing or been misled on intentionally for their entire lives, just about how they can use their own money, things they already have, tools they already have, insurance policies they already pay for and leverage them as assets and all kinds of stuff like that we're just never shown because we're supposed to just keep our money in a bank, let them use that money to enrich themselves, give us not even enough interest to keep up with inflation. And that's it. You're happy. I mean, that's the extent of our financial education. Yeah. Open a savings account. That's all you need to do. And that's insane. So that's the part that just resonates with me.
That was the thing that drew me to Faceless Crypto, the Discord, the community, and also the content that you guys were creating around the idea of crypto. Not just crypto, make a bunch of money, not just crypto, flip it quick and get out of there, but this idea that we were really building a financial literacy base. We were looking at these things as, DeFi was not just a Ponzi scheme. It was a tool that people could use to unbank themselves or to get more from tools that banks offer us or that they should offer us. Alex, yeah. I know Mack will agree with this. One of the reasons I especially like talking to you is because you are so good about getting out in front of like the problematic narratives of our space and are really quick to say what is and what isn't a scam and kind of distance us from some of the people who maybe aren't doing things within the lines. And I guess I'd like for you to maybe talk a little about that, because I feel like leading the financial revolution, our biggest job is to get in front of, there's this narrative that exists about crypto, right? Sure. We all see it everywhere. There's the Lambos, there's the Moon Boys, and that's not what we're doing. Can you maybe talk a little about leading the financial revolution from the perspective of, we got a lot of work to do for that narrative, and I'd just love to know how you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think really the thing that I've tried to lead with that resonates and sticks with the most people is acknowledging the skeptics, because there's a lot about crypto. You know, there's like you said, there's a narrative full of scams, full of you know, sketchy individuals, all that kind of stuff. And really it's accurate. There's a ton of that. So something I just always try to drive home to people is you're right to be skeptical. And this is a great time with the market in its current state to be watching how, though, you can kind of look back, you know, because it wasn't really that long ago that all this stuff was exploding and ripping, and things that make no sense were just going up by 10, 20, 30x. And now look at what they're doing. And you can start to see kind of the things we've been talking about for the last how many months, about things that don't have longevity, things that won't survive a down market like this. And I think that is honestly 1,000 times more important to share with people than this is the altcoin I think is going to rip next, or this is a piece of tech that I think has a you know, a great future in front of it, or whatever. Is, you know, just tool. If you give people enough tools to sift through the garbage themselves, they will naturally arrive at the better conclusions on their own. You know, there's the disclaimer that, you know, unfortunately you have to make about not being financial advice. I've always made it a personal goal of mine never to say something that would require me to make that disclosure, just because, you know, if anyone asks me for a price prediction, if anyone asks me for whatever, you know, do I think this one's going to make it? Do I think this one's going to make it? Should I buy this? Should I buy that? It's like, I don't know, you know, just look at all of these tools that I'm giving you and make that determination yourself, because I didn't learn this that long ago, you know, and if I can get through it, you can get through it. But it's really just a matter of understanding how to analyze these things. And unfortunately, you know, we combat scams and garbage projects all the time. We see it in NFTs. That's, you know, it's
that's such a good point about the price predictions. You know, we've always been so against that, because it's such a like clickbait, you know, bullshit thing. It's like saying, what, you know, if anyone gives you a price prediction, it's just a number. It's just something to help feed your ego, because they don't really know, unless they're really good at trading, which is a very small part of the population. Then, you know, it's really worth nothing. And so much of the space is just hype. And I think one of the things that we're, you know, really trying to do is, of course, make things exciting, make it, you know, there should be hype. If you want to sell anything in the world, you have to make your customer hyped about it, right? But there's also the perspective of delivering on what you've done, doing it in a stepwise incremental fashion, so that you're iterating on feedback from your community or customers or whoever it may be. And then actually, you know, following through on it. Like, how many companies or projects, you know, whether crypto or NFTs, are saying that they're going to build a game or a metaverse, you know, and how many of them have done that? How many of them have even a working product? You know what I mean? I can count them on one hand, I think. Yeah. So that's one thing we're also trying to do is run this entire ship like a business, like a well-functioning, well-oiled machine. Because we have 12, 13, 14 people who are super skilled at what they do. And together we make a team of very experienced professionals that just happen to all be super nerdy dudes. You know what I mean? And we're just having fun. Like, instead of talking about some, you know, software as a service product, or some, you know, paper-based product or office-based product, we're talking about people like this, you know, who are faceless characters splitting the world in half between crypto and fiat currency. So it's much more exciting what we get to do, but it's no less business focused.
Yeah, you know, that's such an important distinction to make too, and I, you know, until we were kind of getting into this and I started just doing more and more research into the business side and, you know, learning about sales and about managing a business and about leadership and stuff like that, you really start to realize how many projects are not looking at it that way, are advertising completely ridiculous, unsustainable metrics, you know, to, like Mack said, to keep that hype machine going. You know, and it's hard to even really say that all of that is their fault, because all of the space, not all, most of the space has been conditioning people who want to create a project to say, like, you got to promise them absolutely everything, and it doesn't really matter if you can deliver, because you just got to exclusively sell the dream, and you don't need much to show for it, because all they're doing is investing in stuff that they don't really understand anyway. And it's just gross. It's a vicious cycle that just, feeds itself.
And you get paid before you have to deliver anything.
Yeah, that is dangerous. That's a dangerous thing.
You really got to trust people in the NFT space. And I think more and more people are realizing that as rug pulls come out, and not even rug pulls, but just the inability of a team to last through a bear market, because their NFTs are based entirely on royalties from secondary trading volume or something like that.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Evan.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead, Alex. You're good, brother.
I was just going to say that the rug pull thing, I actually really dislike that, because most of them that we see fall apart and crumble and disintegrate are not rug pulls. It's not a malicious, specific scam where someone raises money, lies to you, takes it, and disappears. Does that happen? Absolutely. But so many of these things are just going to fall apart, and it's not due to the malice of the creator, maybe to their inexperience, but it's the system that built and created and fostered, and demanded that kind of project, that kind of organization to form in the first place, that these people just have no clue how to continue with. And these things are just going to keep falling apart. And we just slap the title rug pull and call all of it a scam. But really, it's just a business that's failing because it didn't know how to be a business in the first place.
That's one of the things I'm concerned about when I say I feel like the narrative's getting away from us. Is I feel like a year ago, we just started to see really a first boom of these PFP NFT projects. And now it's like you can't go a day without new PFP projects being released on multiple chains. Used to be just ETH, then it was Solana, then it was ICP, then it was Immutable X, then it was Cardano. Now every chain, every day has got people releasing these projects. And some of them are more well-equipped than others. And some of them are differentiating themselves. But it's almost like an exponential growth problem, where for every one project that's doing something innovative or safe or valuable, you've got 10 products. Then the next day you've got 100 projects, and then 1,000 projects that are doing all those things you said, Mac. They're promising you a game. They're promising you a comic book. I just saw today that Eminem and Snoop Dogg have an NFT Bored Ape comic. It's like the Snoop X Eminem comic. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, that's cool. That's great, but I could probably name on two hands, at least, maybe more, might need my fingers and my toes, the number of people who've tried to release a comic book, and Slim Shady beat him to it because he's got a lot of money and he can hire a team. And that makes me think, like, okay, it's so urgent for us to establish leadership, because we need to have a model that has public attention, that shows people that there's a better way. But I don't know. I'm worried about the pace. I'm worried that every day these projects are coming out and they're all trying to do the same thing. And I don't know that we have a good answer to that, except just, keep building.
Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily like I don't know. It's this theory of like the markets being perfect, or if something is popular, right? Like you look at a lot of like pop stars and rappers and singers and anyone who really gets popular for a reason, right? Some people might scoff at them and say, oh, that's terrible music, or, oh, I don't like their style, or they have tattoos all over their face. It's like, well, they're getting paid a lot for a reason. It's because a lot of people do like them. You know what I mean? So if more and more NFTs are coming out because they're profile pictures, or because they make comic books, or because they use trite, hackneyed things that have been used time and time again, then I guess at some point you have to just be like, all right, well, that's what NFTs are going to be for the time being. I don't think that that'll necessarily change what we're doing, because there's, you have to kind of piece it together. How much do you want to do what you do and what you believe in, versus how much do you want the market to react to it, right? You have to kind of like balance those so that there's a connect, because if you do something that's amazing and highbrow, but nobody really likes it, then you're not going to sell. And if you do something that's super accessible to the public and it's been done thousands of times before, like for instance, I see a new ape project every day, and no disrespect to any of the ape projects, the Elrond apes are doing a great job, and I know a few of them personally and they're great guys. But there's all these new ape projects that are coming out, and it's like, well, how innovative can you really be by making another ape project? So we have to kind of balance our need to innovate and lead with what the market wants and responds to, and it's quite a unique challenge.
I don't disagree with that. I guess I just worry about the people who've yet to join us. I saw a stat the other day that like 1% of individuals who hold crypto in a crypto wallet also hold an NFT. And of course, there's some spillover there. You know, there are people who hold NFTs, but not crypto. But by and large, NFTs haven't been adopted by most crypto holders. What does that say about the broader market? And as aggressively as we're talking about it, and the more models that are being pushed out there that say this is what an NFT is, they're often conflating it with art, often digital art. And they're not demonstrating the utility that NFTs can and will have for regular people in their everyday lives. And I understand, you know, you got to get through the muck, you got to get through the innovative phase. And I suppose that's what I'm worried about, though. Is I'm worried about the casualties, or, you know, what do you call it? The friendly fire that's going to happen because all these people are investing in JPEGs.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess I just want to see more people building with real utility for real people. And for folks like us who are doing that, I hope to see them get a bigger stage to amplify what they're doing on it. NFT NYC, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but it just really bothered me that there were NFTs everywhere, but nobody was really talking to the 10 million people in New York about why it mattered. Did I tell you guys the story about the NFT protest? Not the Atom Bomb Squad one about God hates NFTs. That was brilliant. But there was
I
one
thought that was marketing. I almost made a video about that, but I was like, this seems a little bit too cheeky to be real.
Yeah. We should have the Atom Bomb Squad people on. They had a T-shirt that said NFTs are a scam, and the only way you could get it was by buying one of their NFTs. I thought it was brilliant.
It's great.
But this other one, it was like it was all these people holding signs. They had watches on them, and the watches had like Bored Apes or something on, little doodles on their face, you know. And there was a person standing out in the street. There are like 3 dozen of them in front of my hotel. The person in the street's going, "What do we want? NFTs. When do we want them? Now." And I left the hotel, and they were doing that for 5 minutes. I came back from getting a coffee, and they were still doing it like 10 minutes later. And I walked up to a lady who was holding a sign, little old lady, probably like 65. And I said to her, "So what's this for?" And she said, "Oh, you can get your NFT on your watch now." I said, "Are you part of this company?" She said, "Oh no, they just hired me." I said, "What's the company's goal? What's their aim?" She said, "I don't really know." I said, "What do you know about NFTs?" She said, "I don't know anything about NFTs." And so here's this company who's paid 3 dozen people, you know, $20 an hour or whatever to stand here and hold these signs to sell their watch skins. And all the people walking past, they weren't doing a darn thing to tell all these moms and business owners and maybe deep-pocketed, interesting, innovative, you know, scientisty people why it was going to matter to them. And that just, you know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I got real chafed about it. I was ready to turn over a milk cart and get a megaphone if I hadn't lost my voice and be like, you know, "You have been lied to. This is the truth." You know, like street preacher.
Well, yeah, Alex and I were talking about, and Michael too, like, we're at the Super Bowl of NFTs, right? And shout out to NFT NYC. They did a great job. But how is it that this is the 4th NFT NYC and you didn't need an NFT at all?
Right.
For anything.
I've been to, how many crypto conferences have just we been to this year? And that's not even all of them, like 5 or 6. I don't have a single NFT from any of them.
Right. It's like, come on, guys. You know,
meanwhile, my wife is like, which one is this that you're going to now? And I'm like, "Oh, it's, you know, NFT, whatever." She's like, "Oh, is this ticket an NFT yet?" And I'm like, "Sure isn't." She's like, "Seems bad, seems wrong." And I'm
well, like, and that's, sorry, go ahead.
It just seems like that just blows it will never not blow my mind that, like, you know, and it really, I want to circle back for just a second on something you said, Evan, about the narrative escaping. I think this kind of all ties in to this. The problem that I see, the narrative escaping seems to be a symptom of a problem I see, and this is pervasive through the entire industry, but especially with NFTs. If you strip away all of the stuff that, you know, we talk about on a regular basis about NFTs, it's mostly not an accurate representation of what an NFT is. And that's because an NFT is ultimately super boring. It's not exciting. It's literally just a way to prove that you own something digitally, which up until this point has been very difficult to do. And we see time and time again project after project after project, whether this is an NFT project, a profile picture project, an ape project, a crypto project offering a 9 million% APY, whatever, that's just not represented properly to the people that it's being represented to. And that is the biggest problem that I see with all of this stuff is if you make an ape project and you tell people, hey, we're apes, this is an ape project, here's the picture, here's the lofty goal, whatever, that's it. Boom, done. I have zero issue with that. I don't have any issue with meme coins that are advertising as meme coins. The problem is that 99% of them don't advertise that way. They incorrectly represent themselves to everyone else as being groundbreaking, incredibly robust ecosystems, blah, 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 all this stuff that just like, is designed through the use of buzz phrases and all of these kinds of things to trap someone who doesn't really know what they're looking at into thinking, I've struck it big. This is the thing. They used all the right words. And there's a list of those words that you've got to hit if you're doing NFTs, if you're doing crypto, whatever it is, and NFTs, it's community, it's governance, it's whatever, it's all these things. All you got to do is just say community 50 million times and boom, you got a project. And, and that, Mack and I said that we sit next to each other at these conferences all the time. And that's what we do. You see a title that seems really interesting. You sit down and someone gets on stage and they're like, NFTs are groundbreaking because artists can earn royalties and your community can have fun. And
so
it's like,
this is really interesting.
More.
Yeah, it's so true. Like earlier I was talking about, we have to balance what the market wants versus the innovation, and how you balance that. Another interesting thing that's happening in the crypto space right now, because, sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, wow, this whole industry is so damn new that the basic foundation, cornerstones are still being set. And one of those things is what I complain about is there's a lot of there's a lot of crypto blockchains and crypto companies that just don't know how to speak English. You know what I mean? Like if you go to their website, it starts talking about all this jargon. And like, I've been in the crypto space for 5 years now, so I can have a decent handle on it. And I do this for a living, but like, if you've been in it for a year or less, what does that mean? What is a layer 2? You know what I mean? What is finality? Like, speak in plain English. But then on the other side of the aisle, you have the people who are really good at English and they just promise the pie in the sky, the simple words, metaverse, community, you know what I mean? Royalties. And then there's no like business thinkers, or I guess people who've walked a mile in those shoes to know that, hey, to build a proper game is going to take hundreds of thousands of dollars and a really skilled studio or a metaverse or anything like that. So we've just got a lot of like connections that need to be made. I'd say a lot of balancing that needs to happen between the English speakers and the actual engineers who know how to do it. And we're still in the early stages of that. So it's like pick your poison.
Before you
go ahead, Alex, go ahead.
To piggyback on that, the other thing that is just so crucial that people understand about all of this, and this is something that has been coming up in my head more and more lately, ever since we met a particular cybersecurity expert in our Discord. It finally clicked with me how many projects are launching with small teams that only have like one skill set. So like maybe you're just a developer and you're great, but like Max said, you don't know how to get out in front of your community and relate to them and talk to them and describe to them what it is that you're doing without just, regurgitating line by line the kind of code you're writing. So we have all these essentially companies that are being founded, all basically part of the fintech genre with like next to no cybersecurity experience. How many different things has that particular individual looked at briefly and found a massive flaw in? And there's tons of people's money flowing through these things, whether it's through NFTs or through a crypto coin or a token or whatever. And that just blows my mind that there is not more focus on, having a team, a part of the team that's dedicated to being the developers, that has cybersecurity experience and production experience and can build all that kind of stuff and audit it and, make sure that there's multiple layers of authentication and a QA and all that kind of stuff. And then also people who can do the business side, that are able to speak to the customer and all that kind of stuff. And it's just something that people need to be aware of when you look at a very tiny team, that the odds are they did not cross, or they didn't shit, what am I trying to say here? They didn't think about this from every single angle. You know, they're missing something.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of them are just inexperienced. They don't know what they don't know. I certainly don't know what I don't know. I tell people, this might be a good place to tell people, you know, a couple of the tips that we would have are, obviously, before you get started on this, you need to have a solid roadmap. Don't just do it as you go. Even we had prepped a lot of stuff, had a strong team in place with many different disciplinary expertise, skill sets, whatever. And we were still, you know, putting pieces together. I think at a bare minimum, if you're going to launch an NFT project that is going to become a successful business, you got to have legal, you got to have accounting, you got to have developers, you got to have biz dev, meaning like operations people. You should have someone with marketing expertise. I think crisis and communication are an important part of everybody's organizational game plan. And I would also say that you should have somebody, we didn't think about this. And honestly, when we're talking about who we should hire next, I am voting hard for like an admin, some sweet secretary who is so skilled at like coordinating calendars and schedules, and like kind of like Michael knows all the little tools, but then can actually implement them, and we'll just give them our passwords and they can do all the behind the scenes stuff and set it up. Cause there's a lot of that goes on in our business, you know, my God. So if you're a project team or aspiring to be a project team, I would say those are my picks for the pieces that you need. What do you guys have to add?
I mean, I want to say that all those people you mentioned are going to be guests on this podcast.
Absolutely.
So if you're interested, we've already got an amazing CPA lined up, our lawyer lined up, and everyone in between. So obviously you need to have at least consultation from those, entities if you're going to try and be successful long-term and not just do this as a one-off project. Obviously, you're going to need an artist. You're going to need somebody who can put it all in the blockchain. It depends on how much, there's different levels to it. You can keep it super simple and just say, hey, we're minting NFTs. And from here on out, it's just going to be a community thing. Or you can try and innovate and drive yourself and your devs crazy every step of the way like we have. Yep. So, choose your poison.
Yeah, I mean, Evan, I don't really see any holes in that list. I mean, and honestly, I would agree with you. I would call that the minimum, and you can have multiple people in those different departments. The problem is that then, where are you going to get those people? Because you listed a lot of professions, a lot of skill sets that are not cheap. And so, can you afford to hire those people? Which leads me to a point that I wanted to make, which is just something that I always really enjoyed about us, something that I've spoken about at conferences and shared with people about why do I think we were successful. We started with a community around education that had no plans to take it any further. They were all there because they actually enjoyed, like the buzz phrase community. They were actually one. They actually enjoyed hanging out, talking about their kids, talking about, real estate. I mean, there are so many channels in the original Faceless Crypto Discord, that have nothing to do with crypto, that have to do with like buying houses in Arizona or whatever. And if you take that and give them a token, whether it's in the form of an NFT or a currency or whatever, it just gives them a different way to interact. But if you skip that formation part and start with the token, you're going to end up forming a community around the idea that most people have in their head about that token, which is I can use this to make money for myself. And if that doesn't happen immediately, then you're going to ruffle some feathers. People are going to be agitated and upset about that. And that's where if you can't handle those disgruntled individuals with, like what you mentioned, Evan, with a crisis plan and a good comms strategy, that's where you're going to run into problems. And we never had to really worry about that because everyone that we were gathering around us had been with us for months. I mean, that's where all of us came out of. We were all in there,
So something I wanted to dig back into, you said a couple minutes ago when we were talking about NFT ticketing, you said that it's difficult to prove digital ownership and that NFTs, what they really are, is not that exciting. But I wanted to push back on that. I think it has been, my understanding is that until now, everything on the internet has existed as a copy, and that it's been impossible to prove digital ownership, because even a file, origin, the metadata can be faked to some extent. And I think it's extremely exciting. And I feel like there is a marriage of the people who talk about it really well and the people who understand it well enough to explain it simply. I can tell you, every time I talk to that lady who was holding that sign, we started from zero. And I want to have a couple people on this podcast too, maybe who know very little, so that we can model for folks what it looks like to have a better conversation. Because I think we can show them. We went from, I said to her, what have you heard about an NFT? And I told her, I said, here's what's important to understand about an NFT. NFTs are not art. They are a type of artifact. NFTs allow you to instantly, errorlessly authenticate any asset easily. I said, the same way a piece of paper, this is what I always say, can be used as the backdrop for a painting or folded into origami, or you can use it as the coaster beneath your coffee cup. NFTs, which prove ownership, can be attached to any asset, and they will be used to prove your identity, your relationship to a community, or you're part of a story in the not too distant future. The same way they're being used right now to prove people own a piece of art that they're attached to. And then I always like to ask the follow-up, can you see how that would be useful to you in your everyday life to be able to prove what you own? And if they say yes, then I'll go on and ask them, what do you do? Do you own a house? Do you own a car? And I'll talk to them about, isn't it a shame that somebody somewhere could steal your car and have a really convincing official looking deed and throw it in the glove compartment and make it difficult for a cop or for a court to prove that that car is yours? An NFT, which cannot be forged, cannot be copied, would make it so that the officer who pulled them over would instantly be able to see that this car is not theirs. It is in fact yours. It would solve a lot of problems. And people are like, oh yeah, I guess that is a problem. Or even a receipt. Man, there was a period of time when I first moved to Memphis and I didn't have a job, was kind of struggling with some personal stuff that just made it hard for me to get up and get out. I would go to McDonald's and I would just wait for people to throw away their food and pick out those receipts from the trash can right from the top, man. I'd get like dozens of these. Max over here, look at Max face. I'd sanitize it, just kidding. And they had this thing on the receipt that was like, fill out this receipt and get a free Big Mac. I scammed so many Big Macs from McDonald's, which, like, on one hand, I'm glad that was not an NFT, because
there goes McDonald's as a sponsor.
Right. Hungry people like me got to eat because that receipt was easy to fake or forge. I couldn't prove that I owned it. I just showed up at the counter and said, hey, here's my receipt. I'd like my Big Mac. Yeah. But if that was an NFT, hypothetically, you could protect against that happening against retail theft, which is a billions of dollars scam every year. There are just, I like starting at those small real world examples because they're not hard to explain. And when we share it like that, regular people are like, oh, that's actually cool. And I wish we had a bigger platform. I'm excited about building our platform because I think when either regular people hear that or our peers in business hear that, they say, yeah, that's actually really easy. And that's a better way to have the conversation. One better way.
So I wanted to talk to you about that because I've heard you say that in your TikTok videos a lot, that it's proof of ownership, and that's what you lead with. And that's okay. That to me is a benefit, of course. I don't think that it's necessarily as relevant for things like cars and Big Macs, because I just don't see a world where everything is an NFT. Of course, important things like deeds to your home or maybe the car. But there are other ways to kind of identify that with the VIN and the license plate and everything like that. But where I see NFTs being the most undersold aspect is from the perspective of the business owner. And I've talked about this before, but for instance, like your girlfriend, Kim, lovely, she is a photographer, right?
Yep.
By the way, stay tuned. She did all of our headshots and everything in New York. So
she was editing them yesterday. I was checking them out. You guys are looking sharp. Yeah.
How did Alex's turn out?
Alex looked inviting. The mustache looked great. And there was one of you particular, Mac, that she was editing where you had this like,
she was coaching me up.
Like, she's strong, but you can trust me vibe. It was nice.
All right.
I've never been described Certainly not my mustache as inviting ever in my life.
Yeah, man.
Don't really know what to do with that.
Sorry. So go ahead. So Kim,
but anyways, yeah. So you know, I had a talk with her when we were in Vegas, and she you know, she's still kind of the early stages of her being around all this NFT stuff, and so I was like, you know, she wanted some help in like understanding, and I said, well, if you're a business owner and you take photographs, you know, of the local Memphis area, what you could theoretically do then is say, you know what, I'm going to sell, because I have all these customers, right? In her traditional world, she takes photos around Memphis and she sells them to people. And that's kind of the end of the relationship. With an NFT, if you sell them that NFT as a product, first of all, they get what they paid for, right? They get the picture. Maybe they have even more utility. They can get it on different prints, or, you know, they have the digital print for life, and they can repurpose it and use their own copyrights, you know, however she wants to give it out. But the other thing now is that because she's a part of a community, you can basically rope all those people in who are your customers and kind of like introduce them to each other. Right. So maybe Jim over here says to Sue, hey, look at this picture. And Sue's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I want that one too. So it inspires cross-selling, right? Not to mention they have this, they're a passionate community. So they want to tell other people about what they have, about what they purchased. So they're, by extension, the business owner's extended sales and marketing force, because they have a vested interest in your project succeeding. If the value of all those NFTs go up, then the holders who are holding them get more. So they're incentivized to sell for you. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just an absolute win-win, where they not only buy your products, but they're almost like seed investors in the original artist or business owner's vision. And then they can help multiply that out and form a community where people in the community get secondary benefits from it. So it's just a force multiplier. And I think that's the biggest thing that's going overlooked in the crypto and especially NFT space.
So how would you go ahead?
You hit one thing in that description that I just think is so powerful, and we've seen play out in real time with us. And I'll give one example. So you said that they have a
he's got the pencil.
Yeah, with the eraser.
So they have a vested interest in the success of your project, which is so much more powerful than I think people realize. So the example that I'll give is that we, through our partnership with Spatial, created an NFT gallery where we displayed a lot of our artwork, and you could go in and walk around and look at it. And we awarded participation because the room capacity was limited to 50. So we could give away 50 spots that you could go in and see. We put them all in one channel on Discord, and we shared the link to the room. And someone asked me, they were like, don't you think that this is a flawed system because you're giving us the link? Why, you know, what's to stop me from spamming this link out to everyone? And I'm like, if you do that, you could give this link to the whole server right now. Think about what it is that you're doing when you do that. You're undermining and cheapening what you have had to accomplish to get here because you have a vested interest in the success of this project. If you were to take a piece of it and try to undermine it, you're hurting yourself. And that need for self-preservation in most people leads to it being pretty hard to topple these communities, which is really powerful.
That's a fantastic point. And the same thing could be extended to an argument about floor price, for example.
Yes.
If you want to raise the floor price of an NFT project, why wouldn't you indicate by raising the price that you value it?
Yeah. We say that to our people all the time, constantly. When they that is the thing that shuts down anyone complaining about the floor price ever. Why isn't the floor price higher? Because you didn't set it higher. That's it. You are in charge of the whole. That's why I don't think floor price is an important thing to judge success by. It's like, it's all up to you. It's all up to you. If you wanted the floor price to be $10 million, just list them all for 10 million, and boom, the floor price is 10 million. You know, like that's all it is.
It's also a bit. Sorry, Evan, I was just going to add to that. It's also a bit different on Elrond network. So for anyone who doesn't know, our entire ecosystem is built upon Elrond network. We have 3 collections: the Faceless Many, the Faceless Allies, and the Corrupted. And then we recently acquired the Elrond Ducks as well. But Elrond is interesting because still today they don't have a official like open sea. They don't have an Elrond native NFT market. So it's all third parties. So to sell your NFT on any of these third parties like Frame It or Dead Rare or Trust Market, you have to basically take your NFT out of your wallet and send it to the NFT marketplace wallet, which means that we can accurately see how many people in our entire collection have theirs up for sale and how many don't, which is a much cooler metric for success, right? If you have 97% holdership, like we do with Faceless Many, then that says that only 2% are trying to sell it for anything. And the people that are selling it are more than likely people who have multiple Faceless Manys that they're earning rev points from just by having it in their wallet, and they want to get these extra ones just for liquidity. So they'll put it for whatever price they think they can get a few, e-gold out of it. But that's different than something on Ethereum where you can post anything and it stays in your wallet and you can list it for sale.
Yep. Very true.
Yeah. And I would say just for context for people listening who might not know, the statistic I see a lot is that it's closer to low double digits or high single digits that are for sale at any given time from a collection. So low single digits is, it's important to be able to incentivize your community to hold on. Like you said at the very start, Alex, the way that people are talking about this as you'll sell your asset and you'll get rich, sell it for 2x, then you sell it for 2x, then they sell it for 2x. That's not sustainable. And it's not really generating value for the core community. It's not encouraging people to stick around.
Correct.
Go.
That's one of those things that I know we've talked about extensively and is probably the subject of a whole other episode, a narrative to be combated in NFTs and crypto specifically, which is just perpetual greater fool theory playing out with different mediums, or just a pyramid scheme, MLM, whatever, which honestly, that is an accurate way to describe
most NFTs
of the space is a pyramid scheme where the only way for you to extract any value is by selling your NFT or your token to somebody else for more. And there's a way around that. And I think that's probably something that we could spend an entire episode talking about. But
well, and I want to go back to proof of ownership another time too, because I'd like to find a better way to say it. I call it that though because of exactly what you said, Mac. I told that lady, I was looking for her business card because that lady holding that sign that I had that talk with, this lady, get this, she is an equestrian yoga teacher. Her business card is her in like a straight up Western getup doing like Warrior 2 on horseback. Like that's her business is teaching. So
shout out to that chick.
Right. What a boss. She had a double hip replacement like 3 months ago. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm back on my horse now. It was so cool.
Wait, but we talked teaching yoga to horses or teaching yoga on horses?
Two people on
both.
Horseback.
Okay.
Yeah, right. The horses though get very sad.
That's incredible.
But that's what we talked about it, Mac, about. I was like, okay, so picture this. Here's how you could use NFTs. And I talked to her about turning her customers into repeat customers, about, attaching their NFT to a voice recording, to a picture. If a photographer comes and takes pictures of them, using it to give them discounts, using it that they could sell a membership and earn a commission and yada, yada. So I do still think of it in my mind as proof of ownership of your relationship, proof as a customer that you own this thing and therefore, but maybe there's a better way to say it.
I certainly think that proof of ownership definitely could be the strongest way to go, but only for certain industries. Like if
and only if you explain it well.
Yeah.
Because just saying that, like if you say, like obviously it is beneficial to be able to prove that you own this piece in order to choose what the floor price of it is. But there's an explanation there.
I just think, if we're talking about the early stages of the NFT market, which realistically, it's only been around for a year and a couple months, I look at it for when CryptoPunks and Beeple started popping off. That was kind of like the beginning of it, And having that said, it's more kind of about belonging to a sense of community, establishing that sense of identity, and whether it's a product that they sell or a game or a metaverse, you have that flag which you can wave with pride. That's your flag. That's the NFT. And I think that goes a long way for people right now. And as it continues to go on, it'll be about digital representation of physical goods. I think that Nike and Prada and Gucci and every big athletic or luxury brand name that you can think of is just leaving money on the table by not coming up with digital equivalents of their products. They could double their sales. Imagine like you're, 15th century Europe, right? And then you find this whole new continent called North America, and you're like, wow, that's a lot of land. We can get a lot of gold out of it. You know what I mean? Like that's basically what the metaverse is, or the metaverses are. You know, they're brave new worlds, they're new frontiers that you can extract, and hopefully there won't be a bunch of slaves involved.
Well, and unlike that, you know, obviously we get what you're saying. Yeah. It's a problematic metaphor because hopefully in the future it won't be, you know, these are pixels that we're mining. We're not mining people.
Right. I know. Yeah. I said it. You know,
I had to say it for the people listening. Right. Like, don't worry, we're not going to colonize the little.
Right. Yeah. I'm not pro Christopher Columbus here and what he did to the indigenous, but I'm just saying, there was a lot of value that they did extract from a new, previously unknown world. And well,
that's not as ridiculous as it might seem, though, because Mack, I can't remember if you were part of this conversation. Evan, I'm pretty sure you were, and I honestly can't even remember which conference this was at. Now, it might have been at TNABC early this year, but someone came up to me and was pitching. It was you, Evan. Do you remember the guy?
Yeah. We won't say his name, but he's an advisor for a layer 1 blockchain.
Yeah, he came up to me pitching us a crypto call center. So the idea of human exploitation is prevalent in all of this. I was listening to this with my mouth half open because I couldn't believe that he was telling me this with a straight face, that they're essentially just setting up call centers in third world countries, underpaying these people, not educating them in any way about what it is they're talking about, and just peddling a 1-800 number that you can call with your crypto question, and they have a script that they're supposed to read you.
Yeah, the idea is like, if you want to say you're offering education for your project, here's what you do.
Was it.
You have an FAQ of questions. You write a script for each one. You pay people wherever $8 an hour or less to just all day answer the phone. And so not only is it bad for those people, but it's bad for your customers who are like, hey, I have a question that's not on your FAQ. Can you help me? And they're like, oh, yeah, you're basically American Airlines. You know what I mean? There goes that sponsorship.
We're just knocking them down.
We're just knocking them down. You know, but it was a terrible idea. And I was doing the Evan thing. I was like, you know, nodding and talking to him and saying, well, what about this? And Alex was, God bless him, I could see him. His tongue was about to fall off because he was biting it in half. Just like, nope.
It was just like, immediately no. And he's like, well, do you want to stay in touch on Telegram? I'm like, no. Have a great day.
For everyone watching, I think you've got a full 3 flavors of patience. So Evan is the ultimate. He is the paragon of patience and understanding. He is empathy incarnate. I would say Alex is probably medium, depending on the day, depending on, you know, what's going on with his dog.
How much shit he's had to deal with. Yeah.
Right. And then I would just be the bottom. Absolutely.
Mack is like, get there quicker.
Yeah. I interrupt people because they're not getting to the point fast enough. And I do apologize in advance for everyone.
Well, and I apologize too, because I listen to a lot of bullshit. I know we're speaking
to represent the full spectrum.
We do have a really balanced like flavors here. So one of the things I wanted to zoom back to, since we kind of got in the weeds, but all this is really helpful so that people can see how our team thinks about this stuff in a really, you know, I think a smart way and a balanced way. One of the things, though, that is looking to our future that we've touched on in this conversation that's on our roadmap is we've talked about IRL events. We've talked about how frustrated we are that none of these conferences have NFT tickets. Alex is like rubbing his hands. How none of these events are onboarding regular people. Do you guys want to talk about the kind of vision that you have? Alex, maybe you want to go first. You're chomping at the bit please. What does the best conference look like? Or one model of a better way?
It's just a parking lot as long as you have an NFT to get in.
Yeah, first of all, I'm inclined to say, all I want to do is use my freaking wallet to get into something. Like all those satellite NFT parties, we're using Chain Pass to get into stuff. And I'm like, this is so easy. The tech is there. Why aren't we using anyway? At Mack and I talk about this all the time. At every conference we go to, because we're at all of them together, is like, we just point out the things that we're seeing that aren't landing with us. And if it's not landing with us, it's not landing with the general public that is just coming to the event because they're curious and want to learn more about the industry.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, I will say that NFT NYC crushed it, and you guys can agree or disagree, in keeping good energy going for a long conference.
Agreed.
Because we've seen the burnout happen in real time at so many other conferences where booths are emptying, vendors are leaving, people are just dragging themselves for these things. And it's like, and that didn't exist with NFT NYC. People were excited to be there every single day. There was stuff going and there was energy kept up. So they killed it with that. It was awesome. But there were also 1,500 plus speakers, which is insane. And I eat, sleep, and breathe NFTs, crypto, and all this stuff. And I did not have that in me to even go to 10% of that many talks. So in my head, the perfect real life crypto and NFT event takes an existing thing, like some of the things we've talked about are a car show or a beer festival or a music festival. And it allows people to go to something they would normally want to go to and have fun at. And we can lace the whole experience with the technology in real time and give you an accurate representation of how you can use this in your everyday life without having to go through this big rigmarole of downloading 50 million things and researching this and reading this white paper and doing all this stuff. And it all comes back to the thing that I know I've said to you guys before. I just ask everyone this: if you're brand new, do you have a car? Usually the answer is yes. Are you a mechanic? Usually the answer is no. Has you not being a mechanic ever gotten in your way from using your car to go to the grocery store? Probably not. That's how we need to be approaching all of this kind of stuff. We don't need people who can read a white paper and regurgitate 10 of the technical terms at you through a screen and try to convince you that they now understand how all of this complicated software works. They need to tell you better how you can use this to enhance different pieces of your life that are important to you. And I think that we can connect with people through something that's actually enjoyable to attend and have small amounts of presentations with speakers who can connect with those people and just do a better job of accurately portraying to all of them how this fits into your existing life without you having to sit through hours and hours and hours and hours of business proposal pitches.
Well, Matt, I would add to that the, there's two ends of the spectrum. There's the incredibly uninspiring, boring technical jargon talks, right? Ugh. And then there's the other ones where it's like anyone who's created an NFT is suddenly a speaker and now they can talk about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, you got to make it interesting. You got to find the dynamic people. Like, how inflationary are speakers at conferences now? It's like we go to it, and Alex, like you've said in the past, most of them are geared towards artists, and then the other ones just talk about the importance of community. But it's, I don't know. I feel like there's a good space in between where people should have to be interesting. Like, it should be like TEDx. Everyone watches a TED talk and they're like, wow, that was cool as hell. That's how NFT and crypto conferences should be. People who can communicate effectively, who practice their speech, and a finite number of them.
Yeah. I saw 6 of those speakers, I think. 6.
Yeah, it's a minority, unfortunately. I mean, think about this. Mack, one of the better presentations that we saw was all of the guys from and Wendy from Kryptonite just on a panel, because they're entertainers. They speak publicly regularly in their content, and they had that skill of speaking in a way that they know will keep people interested and hooked on what they were saying. It was funny. They bantered.
If you've built up hundreds of thousands of followers, you have the skill set to keep people interested. That's obvious.
It was great. I honestly couldn't even tell you exactly what they said and talked about. It was an interesting panel because of how entertaining they were and how they could actually speak publicly, which is a skill that not everybody is blessed with.
Yeah. So we want to have a conference where we have entertaining and educational speakers, not an overwhelming number of them. We want to have stuff that you would already find cool. And then we want to have a way to add value to it through NFTs. And that's cool for us, like on the inside, POAP nerds, but also somebody who, maybe just came to the festival and sees that there's a tent where you can, what do you call it, Alex? A genius bar where someone can just go and approach somebody very, casually, and they can say, hey, what have you heard about NFTs? And they can tell you in 5 minutes without boring you. And they can say, here's your first one. It's free. Take it over there and you'll get a free beer with it. We call that utility, Simple.
Yeah, a spot where if that is what they're there for, you can easily access that education, that information, or you just want to come in and hang out and have fun and watch a couple talks, whatever, cool, do that. You know?
Okay, so looking to the future of Faceless Crypto again, we've got all these things that come back to
Labs.
the very seed of the community, which is always free education, community resources that are never going to be behind a paywall, and then a number of ways that people can enhance their journey, that they can learn new skills, that they can own a part of our story, that they can invest in themselves. What are you most excited about? What did we miss that you want to touch on before we leave, that you want to tease? What do you got for them? Anything, guys? It's a big question. I'm always asking big questions. I got to get better at that.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, unless I can go.
Yeah, you're the boss, man. Come on.
I'm just really, I don't know. There's just so much, and when we started this, it just started out as one NFT project, and that kind of formed into the ecosystem, and from there we've been able to branch off and bring on new community members, and I am really excited for where we're gonna go. If I look at my phone every day, so I'll say something personal here, but from the ages of probably, I don't know, 25 to 30, I had a notification on my phone every day that said, I'm going to be a millionaire by age 30. And then by age 30, I was. So I was like, all right, well, I did that. Now what? I can't just have that same one on there. So now it says,
true story. I've seen that alarm go off on his phone.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like visualizing and constantly being reminded of what you're trying to build. And so now it says I'm building $1 billion company, because I think that with the revolution that we're building, I've always wanted to be, one of the people at the table, because I think that there's a lot that needs to change in the world, and it starts with financial revolution and breaking the chains from, a lot of the old world. And I think that the team that has been assembled with us and the team members that will come on in the future are fully capable of doing that. And I'm beyond excited for everything to come. So it's NFTs, it's community, it's metaverse, it's gaming, it's all of the above. And I think that we've been executing so far, and the best is yet to come.
Good answer.
Yeah, I think something that we have been doing a really good job at, something that just makes my heart happy every time I think about it, is how many things we've seen wrong with the space and figured out with our think tank capacity how to tackle that problem, and then just doing it.
Yeah.
The metaverse thing, everyone was building one. We're like, we could do it right now. And then we did it. That was in the trailer for our first metaverse event, was like, everyone's talking about making a metaverse. We just went ahead and did it.
And we did it for all the Elrond NFT projects with us.
Yeah, we've got 8 metaverse spaces that we've built.
Oh, there's more. There's more than that.
Are there?
Oh yeah. But I mean, yeah, you're right. We took the whole ecosystem on Elrond with us, and I don't see that stopping. I see that only. I mean, every time we talk. I mean, this episode is honestly a great example. We could have an entire podcast that literally never interviewed a single guest, that was just our team doing this think tank thing and going back and forth about the ideas. And there's just so much creative energy and potential, and then the strength to actually follow through with that, the dedication to actually take what it is that we are saying. Wouldn't it be cool if we could go do that right now? And I've never had a group around me where I knew that I could pitch a cool ass idea, and I knew that the people that I was working with were like, could tell me how we can make that a reality. And that's just, I mean, that's why we have these 18-hour work days, because it's like, it doesn't feel like that. Like, I finally get what all those people before me were talking about, with that job. Like, when you know it, you'll know it when you see it, all that kind of stuff. I feel like we have that here, and I just like, I geek out about it every day, all day, every day.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, makes me proud. Well met.
Love that, by the way.
That's the official trademark of the official podcast of the Financial Revolution. If you agree, hashtag well met.
Right.
Say hashtag well met, and we'll send you a POAP or something. A free NFT of the Oracle going well met.
Well met. Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for another great episode. Everybody in the metaverse, in the real world, online, wherever you catch us, thank you for listening. Until next time, this has been Rising Up Rise up, everybody. See you soon.
Cheers.
Farewell.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Rising Up. Hey, before you go, I've got a quick favor. Would you please take a second to leave us a rating and a comment or quick review? Aside from listening, it's the most important thing you can do to help our show, and we really appreciate it. If you want more from our team, be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Faceless Many. That's where you'll find the link to our Discord server and all the latest updates. If you'd like to be on our show, if you have questions for our team, or if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, send us an email to hello, that's HALLO, at facelesscrypto.com, or get in touch through the contact form at our website. Thanks again for listening to the official podcast of the Financial Revolution. Until next time, rise up.